Welcome to Lawyers Without Billboards, where we break down family law and other areas of the law. No gimmicks, no legal jargon, just real, unfiltered talk from real lawyers. Join your hosts, Steve, Patty, Jimmy, and Alexa, partners at Shewmaker Lewis, a law firm based in Atlanta, Georgia. Every episode, they tackle the legal questions that matter most: divorce, custody, child support, alimony, and everything in between. They'll pull back the curtain to give you real insights on what happens inside the courtroom and beyond.
Good morning, everybody. Steve Shewmaker from Shewmaker Lewis, Lawyers Without Billboards. As often, I've got Jimmy and Alexa Lewis, my law partners, and my wonderful wife and law partner, Patty Shewmaker. Whoop. Today, we have an interesting topic.
Oh,
this is the
first of a series.
The first of a new series.
Another mini-series.
We are all big movie fans here at this table, the four of us. In fact, Jimmy can quote dialogue from movies like Nobody's Business and Risky Business.
Including movies that nobody wants to see.
Right, including movies that only like
I don't believe you.
Jimmy and two or three people have seen. But the point is that we are big-time movie aficionados. We could almost be movie critics. And in fact, today...
Wow, you just elevated us a lot.
I know. We are going to, just like you're a competitive cheerleader, and I lift you up.
And spicy sauce.
Spicy
Thanks.
sauce, yes. Alexa's new name is Spicy Sauce.
I'll take it.
So we are going to begin a new series on Lawyers Without Billboards, talking about movies, and there's no better place to start than a discussion about which movie, Alexa.
My very favorite movie.
Yeah, because we're going to focus on legal movies, right?
Yes.
I mean, for now.
Well, mostly
Until we
legal.
run out.
Until we run out, and then we're just going to delve
Mostly
into,
legal movies, or movies that have legal components.
Or
but,
they talk about lawsuits or something.
Or yeah.
Very
Or
tangentially.
movies with Keanu Reeves.
Or that.
Okay. Legal movies like Presumed Innocent, or movies like that. Movies that aren't legal per se, but have legal scenes, or any movie, Jimmy, with Keanu Reeves.
Well, see, for example, Point Break, he says he went to law school.
Wait. We still
He was in
haven't.
the FBI.
We still haven't announced.
Boom,
Right.
legal.
We will be talking today.
The suspense is building. So Spicy Sauce, lead it away. What? Can we just call her Sriracha? What movie are we talking about today?
My very favorite movie, My Cousin Vinny.
My Cousin Vinny. Okay. Does anybody here know what year this movie came out in?
Oh.
No. I've seen it a million times. I have no idea.
I believe it was 1992.
You believe or you're sure?
I was going to say early 90s.
Yeah.
I believe it's 1992, but maybe we can look it up as we go.
Okay.
Most in the movie, the fiction of the movie is it's all in Jasper County, Alabama, which there is no Jasper County in Alabama. I'm sorry, Beecham County, Alabama. My mistake.
But they do reference Jasper County, Georgia in the movie.
They do, and
That's where they
in
find the car.
reality, I believe the entire movie was filmed in Georgia. Parts of it in Covington. And
I can't remember which
Jasper.
courthouse it was.
They used a couple of different courthouses
Yeah.
actually, but the story is kind of interesting because you get a lot of movies where the country boy or girl comes to the big city, and you get and people say, oh well, you're making fun of people from the country or you're making fun of people from the city. It's really the interaction of different cultures that we're not making fun of, but kind of celebrating in a way. And you guys can all probably think of a movie where, somebody from the country came to the city, Crocodile Dundee, that whole series from the 80s, which is not a great series, but that is one that comes to mind.
Jimmy, Alexa, I have no idea what you're talking
Nope.
about.
Most
I mean, I've
That's
heard
not
of
a
it.
knife. This is a knife.
Right.
Yes, I do.
See, I don't know that one.
Jimmy's
See?
showing you
there
his
you
bona
go. There it
fides,
is.
but-
His range.
but
He's got
there
range
are-
over
Come on,
here.
you know how many times it's been on TNT at 10 o'clock at night
Fair.
when I was 10 years old, and I was like, well.
Might as well.
But there are far more movies where the country boy comes to the city than vice versa. There are two notable exceptions where the city comes to the country, and they're both Alabama.
Sure.
One of them is My Cousin Vinny. Can anyone think of the next one?
Sweet Home Alabama.
Sweet Home Alabama. Very good. Where Reese Witherspoon
Yep.
was from Alabama, went to the
comes
big city,
back.
and then comes
Yeah,
back.
but hold on a minute. These are not the only two. Have you ever watched a Hallmark movie at Christmas? It's like every Christmas Hallmark movie.
I think I've missed
No.
that.
Oh, well, you're missing out, man.
Well,
See, the fact that you're all knowledgeable about Sweet Home Alabama really,
You know? Maybe he's just a big Reese Witherspoon fan. I'll give him that.
Maybe.
I liked her DUI video that was filmed here in Atlanta.
Wow.
Okay.
Back
to My Cousin Vinny. Sorry.
So
Here
My
we go.
Cousin Vinny is the model is the clash of cultures. You know, big city comes to little city. So we have 2 people that come to. Well, no, actually 4.
Yes,
so
correct. You have 4.
How does the movie begin?
Oh, man. So the movie begins with Ralph Macchio's character and his buddy driving into town because they're on a road trip.
Hate Ralph
And-
Macchio.
Not the real Karate Kid. They pull into a small store. They go in to shop. They pick up a couple items. He accidentally puts his can of tuna in his pocket. They check out. They leave. And then shortly thereafter, there's blue lights behind them because, of course, Ralph Macchio thinks, oh, shit, they realized I stole the can of tuna. They get pulled over. They get immediately arrested.
Now we're going to skip to the very end of the movie.
Okay.
It's kind of a spoiler, but
If you haven't seen it,
Right.
I'm sorry.
But what we don't know
are you doing with your
and
life?
what we never get to actually see on screen is that seconds after Ralph Macchio's character and his buddy, who is Stanley Rothenstein.
Rothenstein.
And what was Ralph Macchio's character's name?
William Gambini.
Gambini.
William
Yeah,
Gambini.
okay.
When William Gambini
Billy.
and Sam Rothenstein
Rothenstein.
leave, 2 other guys in a very similar looking convertible, mint green convertible.
Metallic mint green paint.
They enter the Sack of Suds, the store where William Gambini accidentally steals a can of tuna, and they kill the clerk. And
They shoot the clerk and they rob the clerk.
they're right. They rob and shoot the clerk. And so when the police stop William Gambini and Sam Rothenstein, our main characters,
Stan.
Stan
Rothenstein.
Rothenstein, they think they're being stopped for shoplifting a can of tuna. The sheriff absolutely knows I'm stopping these guys because I think
killed
they
the clerk.
killed the clerk. And the clerk was Jimmy Willis at the Sack of Suds. And that store actually still stands in Georgia, but I can't remember what city it's in. Bottom line is, that's what sets up the scene or the movie. So these guys are arrested and questioned for murder. And the questioning scene is very comical.
Because
I
they
shot
don't
the clerk.
realize. They don't
Right.
realize they're being questioned for murder. So as Billy Gambini's sitting there in the chair and he's talking with the sheriff, and he thinks he's essentially confessing to stealing the can of tuna. Like, I don't think he realized it. I didn't know that he realized it. And then the sheriff comes out with, so at what point did you shoot the clerk? And his
shot the
response
clerk?
is, I shot the clerk? Yes, at what point did you shoot the clerk? I shot the clerk? I shot the clerk? And then the sheriff gets pulled out, and then he finally puts 2 and 2 together. Whoa!
Now, this movie would absolutely be classified as what type of movie?
Comedy.
Yes, it's absolutely a comedy.
Hello.
But at the same time, it's also a
Trick
legal
question.
movie.
Yes.
Because a lot of legal movies are so over the top, unrealistic. I'm kind of skip around here. Is My Cousin Vinny a realistic legal movie?
Some parts, I
Yeah.
would say, yeah.
A lot of parts are, and then
Yeah.
there's some parts that aren't.
Well, My Cousin Vinny is more. I would say it's more realistic than not.
Sure.
A lot of the courtroom dialogue was actually taken from real life courtroom dialogue. Now you can string dialogue together from different trials, when it's funny, and it could still be unrealistic. I would say it's unrealistic at the speed in which it went to trial, from arrest to trial.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%.
One of the things, though, that I think there are a number of judges who I could see doing this, not to be intentionally funny, but just doing it when it's, how many fingers am I holding up? Let the record reflect the witness is holding up 2 fingers.
Your
Judge.
Honor.
Right. But now let's look at this movie
Mrs.
not from
Riley.
what's funny,
And only
what's
Mrs.
comical, but as lawyers. So the first question I will pose to you all as I rewatched My Cousin Vinny last week is, this is the first question. As a lawyer, can you get into cases and discover that you're in way above your head?
Yes.
Okay, because in this movie,
I mean, not me. I mean,
Not
but
me
I've-
personally,
but
but I've heard about
Not
it.
me personally, but
Read
this
about
guy
it.
I know.
okay, in
read
this
about it
particular
in a
movie,
book.
we have Vinny Gambini, who went to Brooklyn School of Law at night, works on cars. He's a mechanic. It takes him 6 attempts to pass the
times.
bar. He's been licensed and working for 6 weeks in personal injury when he gets a call from his cousin, who's one of the 2 kids in the car, and his response is, yeah, sure, I'll take the case. I could win the case. Well, he's never done a criminal case. He's never done a case in court.
He's not licensed in Alabama.
He's not licensed in Alabama. We'll get to that. And he's never done a murder. And so he drives down with his wonderful, wonderful
Fiancé. Miss Mona Lisa Vito.
Wait, were they engaged?
They're engaged.
Yeah, they were engaged.
Okay.
In the movie, they're engaged.
They're 100% engaged.
So is he in over his head?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now I will ask you all to be serious and be honest. Have you ever felt like you were in over your head in a case?
Yes.
Okay. So is it unrealistic that a lawyer would take on a case that he or she is not ready for?
I don't think it's unrealistic. I think in this particular circumstance, without any mentorship, it was a bad idea.
Yeah, and the extent.
Yeah.
The extent, right?
Yeah.
And, the fact that he had never done a criminal case.
At all, ever.
I mean, and here he's doing a felony case.
The
A murder.
ultimate,
Yeah, a murder
the
case.
ultimate of felonies, yeah.
So yeah, to the extent to which he, there's times where we're like, okay, this is kind of a new issue, but it's kind of within, our realm of practice.
Sure.
And oh, by the way, I can go reach out to this attorney and pick their brain about
Yep.
it.
Yeah, the natural answer is if you feel like you're in over your head, you need to reach out for a lifeline.
Yeah.
But I'm going to sit here at this table and tell you that I was in the DA's office and I came out and I'd never defended anybody. And the very first criminal defense case I got was a simple shoplifting case. And I sat back at my desk and went, damn, I don't know how to defend anybody. Was I in over my head? Yeah. The first time I did a jury trial, divorce jury trial, criminal jury trial, in over my head. The first time I set foot in a military courtroom, in over my head. The first time I was in a federal court, in over my head. The first time you do anything, you're usually in over your head, and you need to reach out for a lifeline.
Yeah.
Well, you
which
also
Vinny does reach out for a lifeline, kind of, sort of, but that's later on. So Vinny and what's his fiance's name?
Mona Lisa Vito.
Mona Lisa Vito, and you have a sort of a kindred spirit with this
Little
character,
bit.
don't you?
Little bit.
Don't you? There's spicy sauce.
We'll see. We'll see.
So,
How's your Chinese food?
well, that is actually my next note on here. Their first conversation in Alabama in the town square is about Chinese food, and they're talking back and forth about whether there's Chinese food here. Is that realistic?
Well, hold on. The first conversation is about the car shimmying a little bit on the highway.
Because the mud.
Because the mud in the tires.
Which is foreshadowing to
Correct.
the trial, but
Correct.
But the conversation about the Chinese food down here, my observation when I rewatched it this week is the Chinese food reference is dated and inaccurate. You go to local, outside of Atlanta courthouses all across Georgia. You're looking for local diners,
Sure.
and Mexican food. And you're gonna
You are.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is a woman from New York who's looking for Chinese food because Chinese food in New York is very good.
I'm here to tell you that if you're going out to
Rockdale
Monroe,
County,
Georgia, Houston County, Rockdale, I'm
Conyers,
looking
yeah.
for local diners and Mexican restaurants. And I'm not talking about Tex-Mex. I'm talking about really
Yeah,
good
for
Mexican
sure.
food. Yeah. You're shaking your head?
No, I'm not shaking my
Well,
head.
she just wants the oink joint.
You
So.
better not shake
Yeah.
your head. Yeah, okay. And we're treading on a previous episode about
Yes,
food.
about food.
But I just wanted to
Courthouse
bring
food.
that up. Now, initially, this is a very interesting thing because I think, and I will just throw this out here, I think it's backwards from reality. Initially, William Gambini, Vinny's cousin, and Stan Rothenstein sit with Vinny after a very funny initial scene in the jail cell, which is funny, but we're not going to dwell on that one. But they're asking him about his experience.
Yes.
And is Vinny honest or does he lie to them?
He's honest.
Right. He's honest, and he says, this would be my first case. 6 times have passed the bar. I've been practicing for 6 weeks. But very shortly thereafter that, he meets Judge, remember
what
his
is his
name?
name?
Trotter.
Trotter.
There you
Judge
go.
Trotter.
No, Trotter's the Trotter's the prosecutor.
Mr. Trotter's the
Yeah,
prosecutor.
Mr. Trotter's prosecutor.
Oh.
Hold on. What's the judge's name? Howell.
No, it's not Howell.
Yeah, it is.
Are you sure?
Almost positive.
Okay.
Google it.
Well, maybe Jimmy can Google
Hold on,
it.
I got
don't know. But anyway, he meets the judge in the judge's office. Now, this is realistic because when you come from out of state, there are...
Howler. Sorry. He was
Howler. Okay.
The
When
way
you-
he says it sounds like Howell.
When you come from out of state, like I have a license in Georgia and I want to practice in Alabama, certain states have procedures that will allow you to do that. I have practiced in a handful of cases in Alabama.
Yep.
I have
Same.
practiced in a case in Idaho.
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
You
in
are a
Idaho.
hoe.
That's
What?
right. That's right. She beats me every time. So there is a scene
didn't
where
hear me.
he goes to the Judge Howler's office and they meet face to face. And a couple of funny things about that scene. Vinny's dressed in leather.
Yes.
And the judge says you kind of dressed a little informally, which was a big hint that Vinny misses, which we'll come back to. And what does he tell the judge about his experience?
That he's been practicing for 6 16 years.
And the judge asks him about if
Oh,
he
he's
has
had
any
many murder trials, and
You
he
win some, lose
wins
some.
Yep.
Right. Okay. Now, I will propose to you that in real life, in my opinion, Vinny would be much more cavalier with his clients, but he would be dead honest with the judge.
Yes.
Because you just don't lie to a judge.
Especially since they're going to check.
Right. But in this movie, the opposite happens. Vinny is extremely honest with his clients, which means he probably wouldn't get to the courthouse anyway because, he told them the truth that he has no experience. But they want him, so he goes to the judge and he just absolutely lies to the judge.
Straight through his teeth.
Which is, it doesn't make Vinny a sympathetic character, but it's necessary to build suspense throughout the movie that he's almost, 5 minutes away from getting caught at any one time.
And in fact, he is multiple times.
Yeah, but so it's necessary for the plot and it's comedic, but it doesn't make you sympathetic for Vinny, which is okay because Joe Pesci's comic character makes up for it in the movie, but it's not realistic in my opinion. What do you think,
Of course not.
Jimmy?
Jerry Gallo's dead.
Jerry Gallo is dead.
Oh, whatever.
Jeez, come on, man. If you're going to quote it right.
The next thing I want to hit is the importance of what food in this movie.
Grits.
Why are grits important?
Oh, grits are important because, number one, neither of them have ever eaten grits. They go to
Right.
breakfast. They
You're
sit
not
down.
aware of the cholesterol. I think
Throws lard on the thing. So they sit at the breakfast counter, and the menu literally says breakfast. So they both order
Well, it says
Two?
breakfast, lunch, or
right.
dinner.
So breakfast, two.
what is a grit?
What is a grit? And they start learning from the cook that a grit takes about 20 minutes to cook from scratch. And so when you get later into the case,
Wait, who cooks just one grit?
well, you know what I mean. Shut up. Grits take 20 minutes on the stove to cook.
And later on, what happens?
Later on, when you've got Mr. what is his name testifying, the gentleman who was across the way from the sack of suds, he lives across the way from
One
the
of the
sack of suds.
eyewitnesses.
He says that he was at the very beginning when he saw them walk into the store, he was just starting to make breakfast. And at the time he saw them leave the store, he was just then sitting down to eat breakfast.
That would be Mr. Tipton, by the way.
Mr. Tipton, thank you.
Tipton,
So
yes.
Mr. Tipton is sitting, and that's what he says. He goes, well, how long does it take you to make breakfast? He says, 5 minutes. Okay, well, what'd you have? Well, I had eggs and grits. So that's where Vinny strikes, basically, during his cross-examination, and that's what makes his cross so entertaining.
Can I interrupt you real
course.
quick? Vinny starts an alternative theory in the criminal case at the beginning, which is good on Vinny. It's amazing since he has no experience.
Yep.
But he is cross-examining the first witness in the trial, and he says, isn't it possible two similar-looking Utes
Utes.
in an identical car
A what?
Yeah, they arrive.
Utes?
They arrive shortly after my guys leave, and they commit the murder.
They rob the
And his
clerk.
answer is no. There was no.
There wasn't enough time.
And he says, "Well, how much time was there?" And he's like, 5 minutes. I
minutes.
said, and he says, well, "How could you know?" He says, "Because I just sat down to breakfast." And Vinny goes, "Wait a minute. What did you have? Grits."
Grits.
Well, how long does it take to make grits?
This is one of my favorite
Well,
parts of the whole movie.
Were they instant grits?
No self-respecting Southerner eats instant grits.
Now, why is this important? And it's deeper than just reciting the facts. I had to watch the movie and think about it. The learning point here, the jewel is, you have to be open to new experiences, and you have to be open-minded. Vinny comes from New York. He's never had a grit, but at that breakfast counter, he was willing to try something new, and he asked questions, and he learned. And because he learned something, he had another tool.
But here's your big practical legal point. You have to listen to the witness on cross-examination.
That too.
Because he was adamant initially that it was 5 minutes. It only took him 5 minutes. And then Vinny pulled that apart to say, well, sir, you were making grits. So do the laws of physics cease to exist on your stove? That boiling water is going to seep into a grit faster than anywhere else?
And he keeps doing it. He asks about 3 or 4 very argumentative questions.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, Mr. Trotter says, argumentative, and the judge doesn't agree, but he says, I think you made your point. And that starts to turn the tide. Now let's take a step back. We're going to go a little bit out of order because we skipped the arraignment. What happened at arraignment? So I'm going to ask Alexa, what happened at
boy.
arraignment? And Jimmy, what was the learning point of arraignment?
God, which part of arraignment?
Well,
where he couldn't say guilty or not guilty. So the judge asks a very specific question that has one of two answers: guilty or not guilty.
Right.
And instead of just answering the question. Vinny goes back and forth with arguing with the judge about, well, judge, they thought they were being pulled over for shoplifting. And it takes multiple times, and in fact, Vinny gets held in contempt for not answering the damn question.
What did Jimmy do? What did Vinny do wrong, Jimmy?
He didn't listen to the judge. He didn't answer the judge's question.
Well, he didn't know. First of all, fundamentally, he didn't know what arraignment was. He didn't know what arraignment was, so he didn't know how to act, what to expect. But the judge was giving him multiple obvious clues, and he wasn't listening. And how often do you have a client that you say, what time is it? And they just want to tell you the brand of watch and where they bought it and how much it cost and blah, 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 blah.
More often than you'd think.
And you're finally like, look, stop. I just want you to answer the question I asked you and nothing else. And they're like, well, how rude. I said, no, I'm saving your life because if you do this crap in front of the judge is going to get impatient and you're going to get smoked. So just answer my question.
And you're not going to look credible.
Right. And it applies to lawyers as much as it does witnesses. And that's why the arraignment scene is so important. It sets a floor. Vinny is that bad, and he gets better after that.
But I feel like we've all seen that in court with an opposing counsel as well, where the judge is asking a very simple question and the other side just simply won't answer it.
Right. Now, I know we had a whole episode on this already, but what fatal error does Vinny make on his attire?
Oh, my God. The leather jacket.
Well, the leather.
He clearly didn't pick up what the judge was putting down when it came to what is appropriate for court attire. Right.
And he had a chance in their informal meeting. And, you know, if you go to a courthouse to meet a judge, you're in a suit.
Yeah.
You're not in a coat and tie.
No.
You're certainly not in business casual. Even if you're meeting the judge in the judge's office and it's not in the courtroom, which is what Vinny does there with Judge Haller. Now he's in court and he didn't pick up on the clue. And what happens?
He gets thrown in jail.
He gets in contempt, right? Yeah. He gets thrown in jail. Okay. Was the contempt in that instance realistic, Patty?
Yeah.
You think so? Throwing him in jail?
Yeah, I mean, he only spent one night in the jail.
All right.
Well, he spent part of a night.
And
He didn't spend one night for a while.
Yeah, you're right.
She bails him out
She
pretty
bails
quick.
him out for $200.
Yeah.
Okay. Now let's.
Well, she hustled it.
Well, that's the whole other story. Let's as lawyers, let's focus on the preliminary hearing. I know not everybody here does criminal law or very much of it, but the purpose of a preliminary hearing is to establish whether there's the lowest amount of evidence needed under the law
Probable cause.
to move a case forward to trial. So it's not a high hurdle for the government. In the preliminary hearing here, the government calls a number of witnesses. What does Vinny do with these witnesses?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Right, he doesn't question one of them.
Nope.
Now, he's very ignorant but very wise at the end of the scene. How is he ignorant? You've already kind of covered it.
Besides not asking a single question.
Right, now
Yeah.
how is he very wise, though? How does he put the cap on this situation wisely?
He's wise because he says, it was going to go forward.
Yeah, no matter what.
It didn't matter what happened.
Yeah, he suddenly flashes brilliant. His clients are mad at him that he questioned no witnesses, and Ralph Macchio's character is like, hey, you know you could ask questions.
Right.
And Vinny's
You,
like...
you knew that, right?
Vinny's like, you come from New York. You killed a good old boy. You're in Alabama. There's no way this is not going to trial. So he flashes brilliantly. It would have looked a lot more brilliant had he fought at the preliminary and lost and then said it. But he's not wrong.
No.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. And I think that's fairly realistic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But it also had to, that had to happen because if he had, fought at the preliminary hearing, we wouldn't have quite the setup.
You wouldn't see the progression
Yeah.
of Vinny as an attorney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
And
and there
the
is
climax,
some
yeah, the
there is
Exactly.
some comedic, license here. But I also want us to look at this today from the point of view of lawyers who really do this stuff. Okay, the public defender shows up after the preliminary hearing, and I know everybody thinks it's funny that he stutters.
Yes.
What does the role of the public defender play in My Cousin Vinny, and is it a positive? Is it a positive message?
It definitely shows Vinny's progression more by seeing how this attorney handles it versus how Vinny starts to handle it. Because the same questioning of Mr. Tipton that we were talking about before, the public defender starts questioning him first, and he's talking about his glasses because his glasses are in his pocket. And he says, and at the time, were you wearing your necessary eyeglasses? And he says, no. And he goes, so you weren't wearing your necessary seeing eyeglass? And he goes, they're for reading. And then that's when Vinny gets up and starts in on the breakfast.
You're absolutely right about that. Vinny progresses where the public defender doesn't. But what bothers me about it is that it propagates the myth of the public defender sucks.
Sure.
And I think that's really, really unfortunate and that is a strong myth that's out there because there are some really, really great public defenders
Absolutely.
that could easily be $500,000 a year attorneys or more. They're great, we're big fans of Liz Markowitz over in Fulton County. Great public defender. Later today, I'm going to talk about another public defender in a story we're going to tell in another episode with Judge Manning. But it's unfortunate that they propagate that myth, but
it's entertaining.
It's necessary and entertaining to move the show.
Also that the public defender serves as a foil to Vinny's character.
Correct. That's absolutely right. Now, as a very quick aside before we go on, another plot device is the local boy JT, who swindles $200 off.
No, he doesn't swindle it. She beats him in pool, and then he refuses to pay up.
Right. And this has nothing to do with the legal side of the movie.
Not at all, but it's very
It just
entertaining.
is an entertaining side story. But I bring it up for one reason. When I watch My Cousin Vinny, JT is Jimmy.
Rude.
I like his buddy with the neck brace. Do you fall at your place or someone else's?
Do you know how frequently Alexa, and her dad are like,
You fall at your place or someone else's?
well, or, hey, how do I know that's not
Not
just a 20
20
wrapped
wrapped
around a
around.
bunch of ones?
It is funny.
Fan it out for me.
The next thing I'd like to focus on, and it's serious in the midst of this great comedy, is Vinny has a mentor.
Yeah.
Remember who it is?
The judge. Oh, what was the judge's name? Judge up in New York.
Malloy.
Malloy.
Judge
Malloy.
Malloy.
Yes.
We don't ever get to see Judge Malloy, but we
don't.
hear about him. And the
Yes.
first time we hear about Judge Malloy is when Vinny has basically a social meeting with Mr.
Trotter.
the district attorney. Tell me about that.
So they're talking about kind of why Vinny went to law school.
Mm-hmm.
And he had argued a traffic ticket in front of Judge Malloy, and Judge Malloy pulled him aside, and that's when they had this conversation. That's when he decided to go to law school.
And what else?
He
when he's in-
mentored him
when he's
throughout
in
law school, things like that. So he was very supportive of him during law school and things like that. So he's very complimentary of Judge Malloy.
Is that story realistic?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely realistic. I mean, I think most of us have some sort of a mentor origin story out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's very realistic. And whereas the public defender myth is unfortunate in this movie, I think the Judge Malloy mentorship element is genuine and very wholesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Vinny goes out. I'm sorry, but there's more. There's one more thing.
There's more?
There's more. Yeah, Vinny and the
You're
DA.
just giving him- you're just
Vinny
handing
and the
them to me.
DA have a few conversations
Yes.
that are quite social. Talk to me about that.
What about it?
Well, is it realistic?
Oh, yeah.
Is it nice? Is it good?
Yeah, it's absolutely good. And we've
That
had
they go
conversations
hunting?
about this in
I don't think
prior.
that's normal.
Well, we've had conversations in prior episodes where we talked about being friends with opposing counsel or being social with opposing counsel. So I definitely think it's realistic. I think it's a good thing.
It's not uncommon,
yeah.
but it doesn't always happen.
No,
It's
that's
not,
true.
It's not done enough, especially in the post-COVID era. The very first domestic attorney I met when I left the DA's office and started doing domestic law was Dawn DeClerc. You know Dawn.
Oh, yeah, I love Dawn.
Dawn's a great lady.
Dawn is a great lady.
I met her at a not an Applebee's, but a what was that restaurant before it became Hudson Grill in Tucker?
Somewhere. Got it.
Yeah, it's just a local
It
restaurant.
was like a Chili's or something.
Yeah, it was like a Chili's. That's what it was. I met her for lunch at a Chili's with my mentor, Catherine Lynch. Catherine and Dawn had a divorce case, and Catherine said to Dawn, let's get together, have lunch, and talk about the case. And that's kind of what Vinny and Mr. Trotter are doing, and we don't do enough of that.
Yeah.
So it's realistic, and it's nice to see that. But then shortly after that, Vinny starts interviewing witnesses.
Finally.
Talk to me about that.
So that's where Vinny starts to actually involve himself in the case, figure out what is going on, starting to find evidence, things like that. And this was also, if I remember correctly, after he finally realized he was entitled to discovery from the
Called
prosecutor.
disclosure.
Yeah.
You're entitled to it. And that's when he starts actually, participating in the investigation of his case.
Right, and that's when he really starts to blossom, when he starts to grow. And it's good to see that. Now, is it realistic that you can talk to witnesses on the other side?
If they'll speak with you, yes.
Right. Now, I'll hearken this back to like military practice where I'm entitled to talk to witnesses most of the time. In Georgia, in a criminal or even a domestic case, am I entitled to speak to other witnesses?
No.
Okay. Now, I can depose adverse witnesses in a civil case.
Yep.
But very rarely in a criminal case can you do a deposition. So a lot of the time, in fact, most of the time, you're going to get whatever you get from an adverse witness in a criminal case, if anything, or you're going to get it in trial.
Yeah.
So he's talking to these witnesses, so I'm assuming they're willing to talk to him, which is good. But he's doing his work, right? Now, the next thing I want to bring up is this. They spend the night, Vinny and his fiancée, in the car in a rainstorm. And what happens when the sun comes up?
He goes to get his suits in the trunk. He doesn't realize it's in the trunk. He goes to get it out of the trunk. Well, actually, he goes to get a piece of wood out of the trunk because the car is stuck.
Right.
You got one tire moving, the other tire does nothing. So he goes to the back of the car to get out a piece of wood to try to put it under, and there's a pink bag, and evidently his suit is in it. He does not know that. He pulls the wood out, suit goes flying into the mud.
Right.
And he goes, "Hey, what was in that pink bag?" And she says, "It's your suit, I had it cleaned." Well, now it's not cleaned, and he realizes he has nothing to wear to court.
Right. Now, when I watched that scene, I wrote something down, which I think will become apparent immediately to Patty. It's a military saying. And do you know what that military saying is?
Pop quiz.
2 is 1 and 1 is none.
2 is 1 and 1 is none. And it really hits home when you're not near your home, which happens to us occasionally when we have to practice in Houston County or in Muskogee, or when you take a separation hearing, Alexa, out of state, as you've done. When you're way far from your home base, away from your law office or your house, you have to think a little deeper about what you have. Now, Vinny is there.
Plan for
Yes.
the
Right.
contingencies.
Yes.
Vinny's in a rural area, and he's got one suit. And when one suit gets ruined, he's got no suits.
And he's
right?
got no suit store because the suit store,
Has the-
everybody
has
has
the
the flu.
So that's what we learn from this scene, and it's very real. When you're not in your home base where you can quickly react to the unexpected, you need to plan more for the unexpected. That's realistic as hell, okay? And how does Vinny solve that problem on the day of trial?
He finds himself a secondhand suit from a secondhand store that is comical.
Comical, yes.
Comical outfit.
And he walks in and it just says, "Are you mocking me?"
Mocking you, Judge?
Now, I'll tell you the truth. I'm only about halfway done. Do we want to break this into 2 episodes?
We can break it into 2 episodes.
You okay with
I'm
that?
having a great time. This is
fine
my
with that.
all-time favorite movie, so I'm happy
All
to
right,
jump
well,
into a second
here's the thing.
episode.
When we
on
do the
this.
second episode reviewing My Cousin Vinny, we're going to pick up with the opening statements at the actual trial.
No, we're not. We're going to pick up with jury selection.
Okay.
Because
all
we
right.
need to go back. We need to go to
All
jury
right,
selection
so
first.
this is Shewmaker and Lewis, Lawyers Without Billboards, Episode 1, to be continued into the next episode, reviewing My Cousin Vinny. Peace out.
That's it for this episode of Lawyers Without Billboards. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to follow and subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. For more resources or to get in touch with us, visit shewmakerandlewis.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.